Today on the Coaching Life podcast.
In many ways, coaching is overrated, right? The game belongs to the kids. The game belongs to the players, and they're going to perform or they're not going to perform. The truth is, I could be the worst coach in the world, and if those kids love it, they love the game, and they work at it, they're going to get better. But here's what a coach can help you do, and this is my commitment to you as a group of players and as a team. My commitment to you is, as a coach can help you go further faster. So this is your goal. Your goal is to win. Your goal is to be successful. Your goal is to be the best you can possibly be. If you love it, if you love the game and you work hard at it, then you're going to develop. You're going whether you have a coach or not. That's what I mean by coaching is overrated. But here's where a coach can be really helpful to you. They can help you get there faster. They can help you see some things that maybe you don't see on your own, and help you eliminate some of those failures along the way so that you can get there a little faster.
Welcome to the Coaching Life podcast. I'm Pat Martin. I'm here with my friend, Coach Chris Stewart. Coach, how you doing today, man?
Doing very well.
It's a rainy day.
Yeah. We're always talking about the weather for some reason. It's like those two people that meet up and you're like, yep, how's it going? And there's nothing to talk about. And so it's like, well, this weather's been crazy, hasn't it? Like, is that all we really have to talk about? But no, it's it's a kind of an icy rain. We're definitely getting some January weather, that's for sure.
It was icy on our sidewalk when we went out this morning, so I'm surprised that the schools didn't have a delay, but unfortunately for my two boys, they did not. So, but they made it. They made it home, and they're glad. They're glad to be here.
Good.
Well, Coach, it's rainy, but we have a special guest today.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's not one that was planned, but special nonetheless, and one of the more unique guests we've had or will have on the Coaching Life podcast, I think. And I'm gonna go ahead and introduce him, if you do not mind.
Don't mind at all. You got. Are you bringing this person in on your end of the Zoom call here?
Yeah, he's on the call. He's waiting in the shadows here. So, but this individual that I'm talking about was raised in southeastern Ohio. He is a graduate of Meigs High School, so he is a Marauder at heart. Can't deny that. And he went to college at Kentucky Christian University, majored in communication and Christian education. And throughout the course of his life, he's coached a lot of different sports teams, a lot of different youth sports teams, baseball, basketball, football, softball. He spent quite a bit of time coaching high school sports with 8 years as an assistant varsity baseball coach, and 2 years in a similar role for a varsity softball team. And he was also the head coach of the Athens Bulldogs baseball program for 5 years, where he recorded an overall record of 88 wins and 48 losses. And of the 5 years that he was head coach, he won the Tri-Valley Conference Ohio Division title 3 of those 5 years. And his teams also captured 2 Division II Southeast District championships. And he's a dad coach. We've talked about that on the podcast before. Sometimes it's a good thing when people talk about it. Sometimes it's a bad thing. But this individual is definitely a dad coach. He's had the opportunity to coach both his son and daughter, who have both been great guests on the Coaching Life podcast. And I would say at this point, everyone listening probably knows that my guest today is my buddy and my friend, Coach Chris Stewart. So surprise, Coach, it's you.
Yeah, I'll play along. Okay, I see the angle here. Hey, thanks for having me on your podcast, Pat Martin.
Hey, exactly. I finally get it's my podcast now. I finally take my rightful place at the front of the tagline. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I tried to get you to do that for a while, and you never put me
We'll
first.
even redesign our icon, our logo that shows up in everybody's. We'll put your face on it. We'll do a caricature. We'll get someone to do a caricature for the Pat Martin Coaching Life show.
Just one, right? Just me.
Just you. Just one microphone.
I bet our listens go way down in the next few weeks.
I don't know about that.
But everyone's probably saying, "What in the world's going on? What are these guys doing?" And the reason we're bringing Coach on as a guest this week is because Coach Chris Stewart has accepted the head baseball coach position for the Eastern Local School District, based in Reedsville, Ohio. And when I say that, I'm sure that kind of has everyone's ears perked up now. So, Coach, I just want to congratulate you on what's that?
Everyone's ears in a certain part of the country, I guess, or a little small part of the country.
We've been talking about it, you know.
Sure.
It's
right about wanting to get back into it. Sure. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely congratulations. I know it's something that you've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm happy for you and going to be pulling for you in the Eastern Eagles for a long time to come.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I tell you, it is it's just a really, really cool honor. It's a really cool thing to be able to take over what has been one of the most successful baseball programs in our part of the world, in Southeastern Ohio, Division IV Ohio High School Athletic Association baseball team. And I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't begin talking about this new role and this new opportunity for myself by just saying how daunting it is to be coming in off the heels of retired Coach Brian Bowen, who has just done an absolutely phenomenal job for 19 consecutive seasons as the Eastern Eagles head coach. And I'll tell you, he decided that he wanted to retire, and I just want to congratulate him and say, man, I tell you what, it's just an incredible honor and a privilege to be able to take over a program that has been so successful. You know, in the most recent year that they played a season, which was 2019, of course, because there was no high school baseball here in Ohio in 2020, and so in 2019 they were they went into the sectional tournament draw, the district tournament draw, about 5 weeks or so into the season, with a 17-0 record. And so, of course, they received the number one overall seed and won the sectional, and then went on to the district semifinal, and they were actually eliminated in the district semifinal, but ended that season with a 19-5 record. The year before that, 2018, they had a historic season that year. Eastern made their first Elite Eight appearance, which means they won the district championship, went to the regional tournament, and they finished that season with a 27-3 record. 27 wins in a high school, for a high school team in Ohio, where you're only allowed to schedule 27 regular season games. So you're 27-3. You've won some ball games, and then you lost one tournament game. And Coach Bowen was there for 19 years. He was the district coach of the year, Division IV coach of the year in 2018, 2017, probably many years before that. TVC Hocking Conference coach of the year for those 2 years as well, and probably many years before that. And I looked up his record, and probably shouldn't have done that, because I tell you what, it's quite impressive. It's quite impressive, and it makes you a little nervous to think about the next guy coming in. But his overall record, coaching record, was 277 and 156. 277 wins, all at the same school, all with the same program. So he has not bounced around from program to program. He worked with what he had, and was successful with those student athletes there, which is not surprising, because I know that the work ethic, and I know the pride, and I know the tradition that's there in that entire district, academically as well as athletically, and it's just quite I tell you, it's an impressive career for him, and congratulations to you, Coach, and it's an impressive program. And so, like I said, I'm very honored to be able to be the next head coach of the Eastern Eagles. I appreciate it.
I was talking to a friend last night, and I may have spilled the beans a little early, and their response was, "Wow, Eastern is lucky to to be in the situation that they're in, to have had, a coach like Coach Bowen for as long as what they did, and then to have a replacement of the quality of Coach Stewart. You don't have to respond to that, because remember, ever since episode 1, I'm here to validate you. So, but to go from Coach Bowen, who did a fantastic job there, and definitely leaves a legacy, and to move on to Coach Stewart, that's a huge benefit to the community there in Reidsville and the high school program, definitely. So, but Coach, this isn't the first time in your life that you've filled in for, or replaced, I guess you'd say. I don't necessarily like that word, replace. You don't replace people.
Right. Right.
People's roles change in life, and there came a time when Coach Fred Gibson at Athens asked you to take over the Athens Bulldogs baseball program. What I want to know is, in your mind, going into that situation at Athens, where you're very similar, you're replacing a guy that has had a lot of success and very well known in the community. What were your primary concerns? What were your priorities, your high priorities, as you're going into a situation like that? And how are there any differences and similarities into the situation that you're facing now?
It's a very similar situation. You're right. When I was at Athens, I was coming in as the head coach, because Coach Gibson, who had decided to retire, and actually had talked about retiring a couple years, before he actually did. And one of the things that he always told me was that he would only retire if the district would agree to give the job to me. And so it was kind of, I was in a situation where I was already kind of confident that, they want me here, and I'm just kind of going to slide right in and take over something that's already running pretty smoothly here. And so I would say that, you asked me what were some of my concerns, and I can tell you right now what my main concern was going into that program was this: don't screw this up.
Right.
Don't screw it up, because it is, it's already so successful. And when you say that, you talk about longevity. Gibby coached for 26 years, and that in 19 years and in 26 years, that or I think it was 23 actually in baseball, 26 in basketball, 23 in baseball. I don't know. So a lot of years. But that not all of those years are winning seasons, right? I mean, there are some mediocre seasons, some losing seasons, but when you look back over the records of these two men, the majority of them were winning seasons, and so that they had the respect of those that they're leading, that they're coaching. That they were able to get the most out of the athletes that they had, because that there were probably years that they didn't have the best athletes, but they still were able to get them to reach their full potential. And so when you come into a program where that's been the case, there's a lot of pressure there to just, to continue, to say, hey, I want to continue this. And it is a very similar situation. I would say the biggest difference in what I'm doing right now from what I did at Athens is that at Athens, I was coming into a program as the head coach where I had already been a coach for 8 years. I was assisting Coach Gibson as his pitching coach, and I was there with him through 8 seasons. And so the most important difference, I guess the biggest, the most significant factor about that is relationships were already built.
Absolutely.
And that's huge. I already had relationships with the kids, had relationships with their, the parents knew me, had relationships with the administration at the school, the teachers knew who I was. And so when I reached out to them about the kids and, about their academics and things, they already, it was always, everything was very smooth. Heck, I already had an email address from the district and things like that, and so it was just kind of, hey, this was an easy, smooth, simple transition. And that's not the case going into Eastern. And it's, I will say this, I did teach at Eastern back in the mid 2000s. I had the privilege to teach there as a high school teacher. And it's actually one of the reasons why I am willing to go and take this program over. This was not in my plan to begin doing this while my son was still in college. In fact, my plan was after, as soon as he graduates this year, then I would start looking for a possible open door to get back into the high school coaching game again. And so one of the big things that I did was take 3 days to just pray and ponder this and consider this and compare the schedules. And to my surprise, there was only a few conflicts. One game conflict and just a couple of other conflicts where he has a game where we would normally have a practice date, which was just really surprising. And so we talked with my wife, and she was very supportive, and she loves it too. She loves the game. And so after a couple of days of discussing it and praying about it, we decided to go ahead and take the challenge. But I probably wouldn't have. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't have if it weren't Eastern. Yeah. People have asked me in the past few years if what list some of the top programs that let's say you had your pick. If a program happened to come open and available, and you had your pick, you got your choice, what school would you like to coach at? And anyone that remembers talking with me about this, you remember Eastern was at the top of my list. And there were other schools on that list as well. there are schools that I respect very much, including my alma mater that I graduated from down there. It'd be kind of cool to go back down there someday. But I'll tell you, not now, because I'm going to stay here until either they fire me or we win a state championship, one or the other. We'll see how it goes. But that's the plan. That's always the plan going in. The longevity. That one of the ways to build success and tradition is to go in without any end in sight, and that's what I'm going into this with. And so. It's not just the athletics. When I was there as a teacher, I saw it. I saw the pride. I saw the excellence. I saw the desire, the close-knit community. My goodness, I told my wife, I remember telling my wife this, 15 years ago, honey, you can eat lunch on the floor of that building because, the custodial staff has such pride. They would walk down the hall between classes and mop the floors, and they would make sure that floor was always shining. If there was a scuff on the floor, they would get it out. It was incredible. I'm not exaggerating. It's an incredible, and those people if you're listening and you're from Eastern, you know what I mean. Sandy was phenomenal. Sandy retired, and now Lester Stewart's out there, and he's doing the same thing. And I tell you, there's something about that. When you see that and you see that level of commitment, that level of work ethic, that level of discipline, and that level of pride, there's something about it that makes you want to be part of it. If that's in you as well. And I tell you, that's why I'm excited. I'm really excited about this.
Kind of gives us a little insight of everybody else of kind of what what's in your head as far as how your program might run. If there's players listening out there, when you mention things like pride and work ethic and things like that, then a picture is being painted there.
Sure.
You mentioned though that you are more known, so to speak, at Athens. I think a lot of people at the Eastern community know you. A lot of people in the district know you. I'm sure the players are aware of you, or their parents know you. I'm just wondering, it is a new team. It's a completely new feel, and there might be, when you walk into your first meeting with your guys, there's probably going to be a lot of concerns, a lot of uncertainty in how things are going to be different, because everything's been the same for 19 years.
Sure.
I'm just wondering what your first message is to the young men that aspire to be a part of the Eastern baseball program would be.
I'm laughing because that's kind of a behind the doors question. That's a locker room question right there, and it's a good one.
I asked
it's a good question.
Coach.
You do
one of the things that
on the Pat Martin show. Ask the tough questions.
Exactly. When I take over, we're gonna amp the questions up a little bit. We're gonna put
take the kid gloves off. I'll answer it a little bit, but I'll save some of it just for the kids. And
honestly, you've already answered a little bit. To be honest with you. I heard a little bit of this answer and some of the things you've already said. So
Pat, I think that it's going to be important. So you're talking about the very first time I stand in front of these student athletes who have a desire to play baseball. I think it's important for them to know they don't need to, at that time, hear my vision and my philosophy of coaching and what they're going to be doing and what I'm expecting of them. There'll be plenty of time for that later. I think what they need to know when I stand before them is, hey, look, guys, I am absolutely honored to coach you. I am absolutely honored to carry on this great tradition that's been built here by Coach Bowen and all of the Eastern Eagles alumni that have gone before you, that you are now part of. And some of you might be wondering, right? Like you just said, what's this going to be like? Is it going to be a lot different? I don't know what it's going to be like. And then you might be a little bit nervous about that. But I just want you to know that I am first here to earn your trust. I don't expect you to trust me right off the bat. I'm here and I'm going to earn it. I'm here to earn. I expect that I will earn it. I think that's kind of what I would say. And I would keep it short. I wouldn't go in with any kind of agenda. I would just, speak to them from my heart and say, and I will, it's not a hypothetical. I'm planning to do this right now whenever we can get together with the team here this week, later this week. But I think I would just share, hey, I'm here because I love the game. I'm here because I love coaching, and I love coaching this game in particular. And I especially love working with and being part of a team of athletes that have a hunger to win. And you guys have that. And if you keep that hunger to win, then I promise you, you're going to continue winning.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned before, just lost my thought. Better hurry.
I've said before, Pat, this would be pretty awesome if this is actually the thought you had, but I've said it before. I've just kind of flippantly thrown it out there that, coaching is overrated. If you got the kids, you'll win. If you don't, you'll have some losing seasons as well.
Yeah.
And I just kind of throw that out. And in many ways, it's true. In many ways, coaching is overrated, right? The game belongs to the kids. The game belongs to the players, and they're going to perform or they're not going to perform. But here's, the truth is, I could be the worst coach in the world, and if those kids love it, they love the game and they work at it, they're going to get better. But here's what a coach can help you do, and this is my commitment to you as a group of players and as a team. My commitment to you is as a coach can help you go further faster. You know what I'm saying? A coach can help. So this is your goal. Your goal is to win. Your goal is to be successful. Your goal is to be the best you can possibly be. If you love it, if you love the game and you work hard at it, then you're going to develop. You're going whether you have a coach or not. That's what I mean by coaching is overrated. But here's where a coach can be really helpful to you. They can help you get there faster. They can help you see some things that maybe you don't see on your own, and help you eliminate some of those failures along the way so that you can get there a little faster.
Yeah, it sounds good. And when I think about that, it's almost like you're talking about on an individual basis there, and not always so much about the game of baseball. And you mentioned before when you were working at Athens that you had there was a relationship built there.
Yeah.
And for guys coming in, I think it's important to know that about you, that you're a relationship guy, and the relationship between you and your players is important. And that answer you just gave is exactly the type of platform that I think it proves, that statement, that relationships are important to you because you care about the individual. Not saying that the individual is greater than the team, but you care about the individual. And that a bunch of those relationships is what makes, a great team and a great program. And I know Definitely. That, another thing that makes a great program is the way that it, let's say, replenishes itself.
Sure. Because it's not, you can't recruit in high school ball. Well, you shouldn't.
And one of the things, and I don't know how much we've talked, I know we've talked offline about this quite a bit. I know it's something that I think about, in terms of our area coaches. It's as a varsity baseball coach, you're coming into you're going to be the head coach of the varsity baseball program, but you're going to be the head coach of the baseball program, period. And I guess I'm cutting myself short on the question I'm about to answer there by pointing out it's varsity, right? Because everyone likes to focus on varsity. That's the important thing in a program, right? Varsity. But I'm of the belief that there is nothing more important about your varsity baseball program than the youth of your varsity.
They're part of the program. When you say program, you've got a bigger picture in mind, and you're thinking of the youth as well. I agree, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering on your as you come into this, when you think about the importance of the youth players in the community, and in what ways can you contribute to their development or interest in the high school program by being where you're at as the baseball coach of the high school Eastern Eagles?
Yeah. So how important are the youth players? So out there in Tuppers Plains and Chester and Reedsville and all those areas, right? That's what we're talking about specifically right now.
Yeah, sure, right.
Well, let me ask you this: how important are your arms and legs to your body, Pat? If the varsity program is the head, let's look at it as a body. If the varsity program is the head, then the development of the youth are your appendages. Right. And so I really think that you got to recognize that, there's a lot of pieces that make up this program. And the whole goal for all these kids one day is to maybe play varsity baseball. Yeah. As you work your way up through the youth, the youth levels, the middle school levels, the JV level, and then you get to varsity. Some of these kids, that's not their goal, and that's okay. Keep playing when you're young. And that's that's what I would say. How important is it to me? It's extremely important. And you also asked, is there anything I can do to help with that development? Like as a varsity coach, what can I actually do? Well, I can tell you what I did already in the community that I coached at previously. In Athens, I became part of the local youth league has a board. The Sandlot League has a board, and I became part of the Sandlot board. They invited me to be part of the board. They now have Todd Newsom as part of their board, who's the head coach at Athens High School, and that's a very wise thing to do because you get a chance to be in on every decision that's made and all the conversation. You get to be part of that program, and whether you're hands-on or not, like whether you're down at the park and you're coaching or whatever, you're part of helping develop the people who are developing the kids. You're coaching the coaches, or you're coaching the administrators of the program. And they're looking to you for advice because they know that these are your minor leaguers, man. They're coming up to you eventually one day. These are the ones you're developing. Right. And as a varsity coach at Athens, I hired our junior high coaches. That's about all I did, but I sought out and with the assistance of the Sandlot, because the junior high program was under the Sandlot as well. They gave me some recommendations. They said, here's some guys that are interested, and I talked with them, met with them, and they stayed in contact with me, whether I could be at their games or not. I often I included them in all of our email correspondence with our high school coaching staff. And every time I sent out practice plans, those guys got our practice plans. And so I said, if you would like to sort of do the same things we do, I know you don't have all the same resources and tools that we have at the high school field, but if you'd like to use these plans and modify them to meet your needs, you just go right ahead. You can kind of see what we're doing as well. If you have any questions at all, let us be a resource for you. And I don't plan on doing anything different. I don't plan on doing anything different where I'm going. Now, I will say this. I do believe that it's important to not insert yourself into it, but offer it, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be a threat to anybody at all. I just want to say, hey, look, let the varsity program, let the high school program, JV and varsity program, be a resource for you if you would like. We're here. Because there are people who've worked in youth leagues for many years. They've got a lot more tenure than I do in the game of baseball. And so if you would like to have us be a resource, we'll be glad to. And one of the ways that you can help bridge that and build those relationships is to do things like do things to invite them to be part of your program, like host camps. Sure, it becomes a little fundraiser, but it becomes a way also for kids, local kids, to come out, play on the varsity field, meet the varsity athletes, and have them coach them a little bit. Invite people to come out who are part of the youth league for special days, at a home game or something. And I'll tell you one very practical thing: invite people who are part of the youth league programs in the community that you're coaching to be part of your program at the high school. It's one of the simplest ways to do it. First guys I hired at Athens as assistant coaches were the DARE officer, who would touch base. Every kid in the district knew him because they grew up, with him coming in as Officer Rick coming in and talking to him about all the activities and things of DARE. An elementary school teacher who was also a coach in the Sandlot League and coached middle school ball for many years. And then an assistant coach, good friend of mine, Chris Hewitt, who was also a teacher in the elementary school, and an elementary school out there as well. And all of these guys were involved in the youth leagues and everything. And I just think, when I'm looking for assistants and such, first of all, I'm looking for good men. That's my number one priority. Just good men who love people and who love the game, of course. And obviously, you need to find people who know the game and can teach it. But you can have someone who knows the game and can teach it. If they're not a good person, not a good character, you're going to have a lot of problems. And so my first priority is you got to be a good man. And so that's one of the things we talk about. I don't know how I got on that tangent, but anyway, there are a lot of good men in the youth leagues. And if you can find them and you can help them and you can invite them to be part of the program in some way, even whether it be a volunteer coach or just, hey, we're having a work day. We'd love to have you guys, come out and help. We're all in this together. This is a community thing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways you can think about in strengthening a sports program. You put emphasis on different things. I'm wondering, as far as strength goes, what's the
segue?
Yeah, there we go. I had enough. I feel you. You gave me an opportunity for a couple, but it's obviously something that we have talked about a lot on the Coaching Life podcast is strength training. And you're actually coming into this. You're actually coming into this quite late, as under the circumstances. It's almost time to go, right?
Yeah, so we're 3 weeks away from practice.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's almost go time. But maybe not necessarily the first year, but on an ongoing basis, what will the emphasis be at the Eastern Baseball Program for strength training?
I'll just say that strength, and boy, we could talk about this a long time, but I'll just say it this way. It will be a fundamental emphasis, meaning it will be looked upon the same as any other fundamental skill. The reality is, if you are going to get better, you have got to get stronger, and you have to develop strength. One of the best ways to develop greater athleticism is to get stronger, because we can't make a person a better athlete. We just can't do it. Some things you're born with.
Well, yeah, right.
Right? I mean, at your core, we've talked about this a lot.
Yep.
But we know that the building blocks of being a great athlete is power, which is strength. Strength and power is when you look at a little kid, cut two little kids out running around the playground, the one that looks stronger, one that runs faster, he's got power. It's natural. Yes. He hadn't lifted a weight yet. He's got it. So what we know then, what we're seeing is that kid's stronger. Well, if getting stronger helps you to be more athletic, then that's what we need to do with every kid in the program, every person in the program.
That's good stuff. And I think about, too, there's always this notion for parents out there that are worried about the development of their athletes, their child athletes, that they're falling behind or they're not advancing as much as other kids are, from year to year. And that can change so much from year to year. As we talk about, just overall talent being up and down, or, not always winning, not always having a winning team happening every once in a while. The same is true as a kid goes through the course of their life. Some years are going to be better than others. Some years they're going to be more advanced than others. And that's just, it's a weird timeline thing that,
It is.
if you watch it happen, you know it's true. But as you're going through it as a parent, sometimes it concerns you so much that you want to fix it quick.
Right.
One great thing you can do, one focus you can have without a doubt is that element of strength training. Just exactly what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger, stronger, faster kids are normally your better players.
Yeah.
They perform better. So if you want easy, you don't have to be a X's and O's or a mechanics guru to know how to help your kid get better at something. And that's obviously I knew the answer that you're going to give to that question, but it's something that I think is important is in terms of what we've discussed on the podcast over the past year and a half. Is it almost 2 years now?
Almost 2 years this summer.
2 years.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that's going to be an emphasis at Eastern, and I hope and I'm sure it's already been there because in talking to a few
they have a brand new facility
players absolutely. So but that's one thing that they can expect to continue and be at the forefront of the program as you move forward.
Definitely.
Coach, I know you're a big proponent of team first values. I'd say most coaches, if you ask them, they would say that they're team first coaches. It's not something that you necessarily go away from. But now that you're a varsity head coach again, or a head coach again, I think this question may carry a little bit more significance to you and to our listeners, and really to me, because candidly, this is something that I've been thinking about quite a bit recently, and we could probably talk about this for a long time too. But I was just wondering how in your mind, how do individual awards or individual performances fit into a team first environment?
There's an interesting dichotomy between team first mindset and individual performance, individual focus, individual accomplishment, individual awards. You obviously want every coach, parent, player to have the team success be their number one priority. Without a doubt. That's what you want. That's what I want. That's what we want. That's what a winning program wants. But, and here's the dichotomy, in order for the team to be as successful as it could possibly be, every individual has to develop their skills and be the best individual athletes that they can possibly be. And so you want to champion the individual and his work and praise that and encourage that, but you also want to remind them that the entire purpose for that is the success of the team. So it's almost like the means and the end, right? Like the means is for the end. Well, the means is I develop my skills and I develop my strength, and I'm developing the individual, and I'm doing it for the end, which is not what I accomplish at the end of the year, right? It's not my batting average. It's not my all district awards or my all league awards. The end is our team's success. So then in this case, the end would be a championship. The end would be our team winning a championship, our team being, or our team being the best team that we can be. And if it's not a championship that year, we can walk away saying, hey, we were the best we could be. We did the best we could. And afterwards, after it's all said and done, when every individual who makes up the team has done the best they can do and your team is finished, you might receive awards for your individual performance. And I'm always part of that every year. Every coach is. You go to the meeting and you put your players up, you put their stats on the board, and you say, these are guys I think deserve to be recognized and be part of the All-Star, the Southeast District All-Star team and all this. And you might get you might get recognized for those accomplishments. But the team first players, even if they're recognized for those accomplishments, they'll never see the individual awards as their main goal. They just won't. They won't, and they won't be there might be some disappointment if they knew they deserved it and they didn't get it. If they deserve it, they should get it. But I think there's greater disappointment when they don't win the championship as the team. I think that's the thing. It's like, you like steak? I love steak.
I like steak.
And I actually,
how do you get yours? How do you get them? How do you?
Well, I will order the sautéed mushrooms and onions to go with it, because I love sautéed mushrooms. I love it. But you know what?
But what burn?
What burn? Medium. I like it. I like a little bloody.
Me too, man.
Yeah. So you almost have to order it medium rare if to get the bloody.
I would eat it rare, to be honest with you. I
have before.
Well. I like it.
It's hard. It's the texture and the look, right? I love the taste. But it's like, oh man,
we could get pretty gross right now.
Yeah.
So we'll just.
But yeah,
so sautéed mushrooms.
Yeah, I love sautéed mushrooms as well. But I tell you what, I could do without them. So you leave the sautéed mushrooms off. That's fine. I still got my steak, right? But you take my steak away from me, now I'm devastated. So to me, the individual awards are the sautéed mushrooms. It's like on top of the steak, but the steak is the main thing. The steak. It just kind of came to me. I don't know why. Maybe I'm hungry, and steak is probably the best thing to eat when you're hungry. But yeah,
I could probably build on it a little bit.
Go for it.
You're getting ready for dinner with the family. You know, whoever you are, your girlfriend, your friends, whatever, and you think, you know what, we need to go out to eat. And you go out to eat, and your intent. Because I think intent is important. And your intent is to make sure that everybody in your group, whoever it is, your family, your friends, whatever, get to eat, right? Everybody gets to eat. But when you sit down to order, you order to your preference, right? So you're getting that individual satisfaction, while at the same time your first priority was everybody gets to eat. Mm-hmm. You don't leave the family at the house. You don't leave your friends at the theater. You go as a group. And I would say that's it is. It's a group event, and that's what makes it so special. You wouldn't probably necessarily do it by yourself. You could. Some people may do. But it's a lot more fun when you go out and eat as a group and you have that conversation, you have those relationships, but even still, you get what you want. There's still some individualism in it, but it's not about the individual. Right, and what's the drive? Because if you look at the great players, the great players don't go out and their main goal isn't to be from a basketball perspective isn't to be on the top 5 scoring list or top 5 rebound list or win a season MVP. Their main goal is to win a championship.
Yes,
and that's true in every sport. The great players. That's what drives them. Winning is what drives them, mm-hmm. And it just intent. I think I go back to that word. Intent is so big. If you players listening out there, I don't know if any players even listen to us, but if you think to yourself,
we talk too long for players. We're 40 minutes into it. They check out after how long's a TikTok? 15 seconds?
Well, I tell you, if they had to go through what we went through today to get this episode out, they may have bailed out a long time ago. So, if only people knew what happens behind the scenes. But if you go into a game thinking anything but we're going in, I'm going into this game to win the game. If you have any kind of I would say selfish, but just personal aspirations that you put above the team. It's not bad to have personal goals. Mm-hmm. It's not bad to set goals for yourself and drive. I mean, that's part of winning. That's being the best you can be. That's required. That's needed, and your team needs you to do that. But at the going into it, at the top of the list is what's best for your team. And what I would say, and I don't know if you would agree with this, I'm sure you would, when an individual award is handed out or when a great individual performance is had, if your team is genuinely happy for you, that's an accomplishment there.
Yes.
Right? If that team that you're around cares enough for you as a person, as a teammate, as a player, to be happy that you had a great game or that you won an award, then you're talking. Then that's a real award. That's a real achievement.
Yeah.
So
they're recognizing you as a great teammate. Basically, there. Hey, this is a great teammate, and he deserves this individual award. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
A lot of metaphors there. Good ones.
We ran into it.
Yeah.
Came up with all kind of stuff. Coach, describe the mental makeup of a perfect player in the Eastern Eagles baseball program. The mental makeup. That's a good one.
Yeah. The mental makeup, the type of mentality of the perfect player. I'm going to list some traits, some mentality traits.
Yes.
Let's see. Toughness is the first thing that comes to mind. Nothing phases this person. Nothing phases this kid. Doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. He's tough when needs to be. Yeah. I'm going to say work ethic. I know that you might think, well, what's it have to do with mentality? But I think work ethic begins with a mentality, because you have to want to work. You come every day. You show up every day wanting to be there. It's not I have to be here. Oh, we have to go to practice today. We get to. I want to. Yeah. So I think that being understanding the value of working. No fear of failure. Don't fear failure.
I like it, Coach. I like it.
But learn from it. You're going to fail. We're going to fail, but we're going to learn from it. And when you learn from it,
be prepared, right? Better.
Yeah. Be prepared, because it's going to come. And so we're not going to fear it, but we're going to recognize it when it comes. We're going to learn from it, so we fail less. Of course, a competitive mindset is part of the perfect mental makeup. I want guys that want to compete. It's one thing to have all the nicest, flashiest skills, but if you can't compete, those skills aren't going to take you anywhere. So, you want guys that they're just always keeping score. You want them to always feel like they're going to lose their position, right? Because somebody's after you. And what do they got to, if you feel like that, then what are you doing? You're fighting for it. You're competing for it. And so and that's something that coaches have to create. You got to create that competitiveness in a lot of ways, because sometimes, if guys get locked in, they think, well, this is nothing to compete for here every day. You don't just compete in a game. You compete every day in practice. You compete in everything. And I love that when you got a guy who they're just always competing. It's always competing they're always looking at you like, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to beat you. Yeah. That's that competitive mindset. Yeah.
Those are the guys you can count on when the games are being played, when the games are tight.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Let's see. I had another one in my mind here. Oh, perhaps one most important one. We just got through talking about it. Teammate. In my mind, I'm a teammate first. I love my team. That's the kind of I love being part of a team. I love the team, and I'm willing to take on any role that I can to help my team win, to help my team be the best that I can be, and to develop good relationships with the team. That's the perfect mentality. So you're tough. You understand work ethic. You go about it as I want to mentality. You don't fear failure. You learn from it. You're competitive, and you're a good teammate. I think, and there's probably a lot more to it than that. But those are things that come off the top of my head, because they're in my playbook. So I'm pretty familiar with those things.
Well played.
Yeah.
Well played. Are you gonna have a?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You're
there'll be
a lot of those these days.
There'll be an Eastern Eagles playbook. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Can
I get a copy of that?
Maybe without the signs. Since you
You think I would have steal them?
Well, you wouldn't have to steal them if I gave them to you. They'd be a gift.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
Since you won't take off the maroon and gold, I'm not giving you the.
I think I've got a goal. I'm gonna figure out the Eastern Eagles baseball signs.
It won't be hard.
Well, I know there's no bunt sign. I know that. All right.
Right. There's a bunt sign. There's actually a couple bunt signs.
Shoot. I can't. I'll be if I'm there.
We just won't be using them in the first inning. I can almost guarantee you that. How about that?
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you. Unless maybe you.
Hey, if he wants to lay down a bunt for a base hit, that's on him. I'm not going to give him a sign to do that. But if he believes he can do it, he can do it.
Ooh, you might have just blown a lot of people's minds right there with that. Oh wait, what? What?
They're on their own. They can actually do things on their own.
They can do that.
Yeah. I can steal them. I can run the bases on my own. I can steal on my own. Sure. Yeah. Everybody's got a green light until I give you a red light. Yeah. You're the athlete. Go be one.
That's good stuff. I'm going to tell myself real quick.
Go for it.
Because I'm convicted about it. You one of the first things you said that makes up a perfect the mentality of a perfect player in the program for you is nothing bothers them. Never been too hot, never been too cold. And we were in a game tonight, and there was an adult sitting in the stands yelling at our yelling at our shooters when they're at the free throw line as they're releasing the basketball. And that's about my biggest pet peeve as a human being, I think. But I got fired up there. It's a good thing I had my mask on. I don't think anyone really seen me being as upset as what I was.
Those things have some benefit, don't they?
We went, yeah, absolutely, right. We went into the locker room, and the first thing Coach said was, "Hey, don't let them bother you. Don't let them." Not to me, to the team. He's talking to the team.
But you were taking it personal. You're like, oh.
The team. I think the team was fine, but it was me. It was me, and I'm like, yeah. I'm nodding my head like I'm being coached in the locker room. I know you got it. You're right. You're right.
Wow, it was that obvious, huh? Just some jerk up there yelling when the kids are. You got a junior high kid at a free throw line. You got some adult up there yelling while they're.
Yeah, it was horrible, man. And he was yelling at the scorekeeper too. Like that's my second biggest thing. Like, when people's like, give us a point. I'm like they got scorebooks.
Like they never have forgotten anything in their life. Like, it happens everywhere.
I'll give him a break. It was a really good game and came down to the wire, so it was exciting. And that's one of the things that we tell, our kids is that, hey, when the heat comes and there's pressure and the fans are going crazy, that's when it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the moments we like.
Yeah,
we've been in those games before. So,
and toughness gets you there. I mean, when people think of toughness, sometimes they only think of fighting. Right. Like if Conor McGregor were just a little tougher, he'd have stayed in that fight a little longer than 2 rounds, or round and how many couple minutes there, or not even that.
Yeah.
Well,
or maybe Poirier was.
It's more
tough.
than that.
That's why.
Yeah, it's more than toughness is a mentality that takes you to where you need to be when the physicality aspect of it is getting hard, right? And that's you've got to have that between the years. It's got to be something that you decide that we're moving forward here. And you got to have physical toughness as well, obviously.
Because I think it's one of the best things we can aspire to teach, young athletes, is that toughness that you're talking 100%. About. We've talked about it before. I mean, that's a life skill that if you're going to be successful, you have to have it, because bad times are going to come, challenges are going to come, and you're going to have that mentality to make it through some days.
Yeah.
But
no doubt.
Well, Coach, let me ask you this.
You put me through the ringer here.
And I was ready to go. You were.
This is a well-prepared podcast episode on the
podcast. When I finally talked to the agent and knew that I was going to be able to get on, I immediately started to work on my questions. So.
Oh, boy.
Well, let me ask you this. So get a little personal here.
Okay.
And I don't know how much longer we'll go here, but if there was something you would say, what would you want people to know about Chris Stewart as a person, and then maybe as a coach? If they're different, if they're the same, it's fine. But give me a tagline. I introduced you earlier.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best introduction. There's a lot more about you than what I put in there. But
it was good. It was good. Well, the first thing I want people to know is I do everything that I do not for my own glory. Everything I say, everything that I do, my goal is not my own glory. It truly is. I truly do want to do what I do for the glory of God, because He is the central focus of my life. And if I'm staying true to that goal, then that means that I am going to do the best that I can possibly do. I'm going to give my best effort in everything that I can possibly give my best in what I'm doing. I'm going to give my best effort in everything that I'm doing. And so if I am committed to you, if I am saying to you, if I took the time to think about this, to weigh it, to pray about it, and I came back and I said yes to you, to be your coach, then that is my promise that you're going to get the best of me. You're going to get the absolute best of me. And it may not be much, but it's going to be my best. And I promise you that. I love this game. And honestly, I love teaching kids. I love it.
Yeah.
And I love seeing what they can become. I love seeing how games like baseball translate to life, and then you see those kids living that life later, and you have them come back to you and tell you stories of things that they remember from when they played for you, and how they still carry it with their lives today, and they're telling you that story while they got a little 2-year-old son on the holding them on their shoulder, and they got a wife on the other side, on the other arm, and it's like, okay, you got it, and they're doing well. They work hard. They got a good job, and that's what it's. I mean, yeah, we're playing a game, but it's bigger. It's bigger, and I think I want people to know that my worldview is bigger than baseball. But while we're playing baseball, it's baseball. And we're going to be the best baseball. Yeah, we're going to be the best baseball team we can be. Yeah.
You have to do your best. That's what it's got to be. That's what your focus has got to be.
Yeah, if I'm going to expect you to give me everything you've got, then I'm going to give you everything I've got.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult sometimes, and I've thought about this some. Is just I wish. Sometimes I just think and I sit and I wish that, because we're not coaches aren't perfect. I mean,
no way.
There's we evaluate ourselves, and we know when we screw up. Sometimes we don't know when we screw up, but we know we screw up. We know we make bad decisions. That's part of the role. And I just sometimes I wish you could bottle up the passion or the sincerity of how much you really care about the team, about each kid individually, and just kind of put that on in some kind of meter, so that everybody out there can see. There's at times there's painful nights because things didn't go the way that you wanted them to, for the team and for certain players, and that's hard to know on the outside. It's hard to relay, but I think that's probably the closest way you can say it right there, is that to tell a person that I'm going to give you the best that I can give you because I'm doing it for my God. And you don't have to be a religious person to understand how important that is. Because if you are a religious person, that is, you said centralized. That is the top priority in your life. So to do it for that reason, to give glory to God, I think there's no better way to put that. And it's so true. I mean, everything you do. We were actually talking about that in the locker room tonight. That you can only serve one master, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you're always going to do something. You're always going to be better at something when you're doing it for a greater cause than self. And so whether that's, if you don't have faith, if you're not religious, you don't have faith, then make that cause be the person beside you, your team, your teammate. Because if you are the focus and you're doing everything just for you, you're not going to be as good as you can possibly be. You're just not.
You're not.
We're built to give. We're built to give, to serve, to serve others and to give. And when when you're lifting weights, so you know what? I'm making my team better when I'm doing this. Just have that mentality. Everything. If you have an others mindset, then you're going to be great. That's the path to greatness.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good stuff. I think we've covered everything, Coach, except one small matter of business we have to.
You still have one question.
I still have one question. You know what? No, we did. I was thinking, I don't know. I don't remember asking Brody Rogers this question, but we did.
Oh.
Every guest, we asked this question.
The every guest question. Okay. I'm going to get that one.
You're going to get it. I hope you're prepared.
Well, see, you're going to ask me to tell us a story of one of my favorite youth sports memories.
Now wait, I'm right? The host now.
Okay.
Coach, I'm the host
sorry.
now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Stole your thunder.
No, you're good. You're right. Favorite or fond memory that you have of playing youth sports?
Well, see, we're 85 episodes in, and I've told a lot of stories in a lot of these episodes. A lot of
That's
old
true.
stories. Because I told the story about how when I was in Little League, my mom got thrown out of the game, and and everybody had to stop and watch her exit the park. And I was the very next batter. I'm standing there waiting to hit, and I crushed one over the fence. And when remember that? I don't know if I do remember. I think I did tell that story on the podcast. So
I think you got in trouble for that. So
now I just brought it back up again. Okay.
Well,
I've got one.
Here,
I'm gonna stay in the youth. I'm gonna stay in the youth ball. Okay. So it's not I got some great college stories, and oh my gosh, I've got some great college stories. But I've got here's a good youth ball one. This is a little bit older, so this is about 15U. So I played Pony League. I know you played Pony League also. There wasn't the travel ball back in the old days, folks. There wasn't travel ball like there is. We played Little League, Pony League, American Legion, and if you went to college, you played college.
Every day, Coach. I'd have played every day.
So I'm on the Pony League. This is not local Pony League. This is Pony League All-Stars. So now it's an all-star team. And this is an all-star tournament over in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. We have some listeners over there in that area. Point Pleasant, West Virginia used to hold a tournament, a Pony League All-Stars tournament. Yeah, down there by the river.
Yep, Harmon Park.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called.
Well, let me tell you, this particular tournament, and it was one of those. I was having the weekend of my life. I'm not kidding you, man. When I pitched, it was lights out. At the plate, they couldn't get me out. It was just, I was like, dude, I want to stay in this right here. Whatever this is, I want to stay in this because I was seeing the ball really well, and we were in the semifinal game the next game is the championship game. We were in the semifinal game, and it was early in the game. I step up, hit a double, and I'm at second base, and I get my lead off. The pitcher looks at he looks at me, and he wheels to make a pickoff move, and I go to dive back to the bag, and I take one step, and all I remember is hitting like what felt like a brick wall with my face. The shortstop was right there, and I think I ran into his shoulder later. They told me. It was a collision. Oh, wow. Now we may have butt heads. I don't know what it was, but we had a collision. I went straight down, and I kind of like I was dazed for a second, and all I remember was I got to get back to the bag, and so I'm crawling back to the bag, and I'm on my hands and knees. But as I'm crawling back to the bag, it's like a faucet of blood. I'm leaving a trail of blood on the ground, and I'm like, what the heck? It's like your day, like what the heck just happened, all of that just sort of happened at once. And then I felt it. It was my lip, and I put my tongue on my lip, and it was like my lip had split. And I looked up, and the shortstop looked at, I knew it was bad because he looked at me, and he just went, oh, and he turned his head away. And I thought, well, what do I look like right now? Well, what I found out when I got to the hospital, it looked like someone took scissors and cut my lip in two. That's what, and it was like flapping on both sides. It just split it in half, and there was just blood just pouring out. So we're trying to catch it and everything else. So there's blood all over the bag. They just put a little dirt on it and keep playing. Today they'd have brought the hazmat suits out and put new bags in and everything else. But I was so ticked because I had to leave the game. I'm like, we'll be okay. We can get to stop bleeding. And my dad came out there, and he's like, no, you don't understand. You got to get stitches. This is bad. And so they thankfully Point Pleasant has a hospital. And we went over to the hospital, and we're sitting there, we're waiting. And I remember I was so impatient. I mean, I was locked in this weekend. I was locked in. And so I'm sitting in that waiting room just like, come on, hurry up. And they're like, and the nurse comes in, she's like, it doesn't matter how fast we get this done, you're not playing today. And I'm thinking, I look at my dad and I'm going, what's she saying? Is she serious? And Dad's like, I don't think you're gonna be able to play today. I'm like, Dad, when we get back to there, I'm going back in that game. And we didn't get back in time. I mean, I got stitched up. I had like 6 or 8 stitches on the inside, like the ones that dissolve, and then another 6 or 8 on the outside, like all the way around my lip. It was wild. But they stitched it right back. And so we got back, and we actually lost the game, and that we were eliminated in that one. But I was ticked, man. I remember not speaking all the way home. It was just it was like, why did this have to happen? I was so angry because we lost. And
Isn't that funny? Because that was a tough day for you. That was a struggle. That was a moment of struggle, and it was a hard time, and you were disappointed and you were hurt. But, looking back on that, you look back on it with fondness because you know what it means to you as a person now, right? There's some strength, some mental strength there, and some competitiveness, and undoubtedly that mentality that you had then hangs with you today. So we're proud of those moments when we kind of we face adversity, and we don't let it shake us. We want to just keep fighting through. That's good stuff, Coach. I'll be honest, there's not, I think I spun it a little bit there to make it sound good, because it sounded like a lot of pain and disappointment to be a fond memory. But
it is kind of weird that one came to mind, because well, I have a scar to remember it all my life, and every time I smile, my smile's crooked. I don't know if it just destroyed nerves or what, but it was rough. Yeah, it wasn't the worst injury in the world. But it was just, I don't know, it was just weird. But
you know what? Odd fact. One of your pitchers, one of your players, I'll say, because he's not just a pitcher, one of your players at Eastern currently has a busted lip. Like,
I heard that right now. In basketball, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the ball hit him.
Is that right?
That's what I heard. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That kid, he's had it rough last couple of years.
Yeah, he'll be ready to go.
He's poised for a big year now, though.
He is. Yeah.
Well, Coach, I if you give me a couple more minutes, I can probably come up with some more questions. No, I appreciate you being on. Just so everyone knows, I think we're still planning on continuing the podcast.
No doubt.
I did give Coach an out and said maybe we should take a break, and he said no way.
No reason.
The only thing this means is we have more content. So
content.
All that dream. I know everyone out there was really excited about me being the host and taking over the podcast, but that's just a joke. That's not going to happen. Coach is still going to be here. So and I'm glad he is. But Coach, I'm glad that we had a talk, and I appreciate you humoring me to a point of being our guest, on the episode here. Was this 85?
This was kind of
episode
fun.
85?
Yeah, this was a lot. It was kind of fun being on the other side of it. Yeah,
I think it'll turn out well, and people will enjoy it. So, but hey, thanks for your thoughts, and again, I want to congratulate you for the position. I know it's important to you, and you're passionate about it, and that makes me feel good. And good luck, buddy.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles. Wow. There you go. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll hopefully see you next week.